I'd like to call the rescheduled February meeting of Lincoln Board of Commissioners to order. I want to start out this meeting with asking our Commissioner Collins if he would read some invocation, and Mr. Drew Davis, do this in the pledge if you.
He's back.
Okay.
Father God, we thank you, being God Almighty, having all power in your hands. Father, we thank you for this day. Father, we ask that you continue to watch over our county and our people, that we get through this pandemic. We ask you to continue to bless those who are fighting in harm's way, and so we can enjoy this very night to meet. We ask you to continue to bless all our commissioners and all our citizens, and keep us safe in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. The first order of business for our February makeup meeting is the adoption of the agenda. In the adoption of the agenda, I would like to make a motion that we do away with item number 10, old business, which is Tracy Lindsay, discussing Development Authority versus the Industrial Development Authority. I think she's covered that with the information that we needed, so.
We're not doing away with Tracy, we're just doing away with.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for that correction.
I think.
Okay. So, Ms. Lindsay, thank you for coming earlier. You're welcome to stay if you'd like to. I won't be calling you.
Thank you.
Under new business. Gentlemen, in light of the fact that we still have some things we need to discuss and get resolved, i.e. the securing of the existing courthouse and whether to move forward with this Public Works Authority, I'm going to make a motion to table this.
I'll second that.
Now, in doing that,
Okay.
I would like to call a meeting for next Wednesday night, if you're all available. I may actually move the meeting to courtroom C to allow for more social distancing, just say we probably close here. So,
Is there air conditioner there?
yeah. So we have a motion in a second to table it.
Can we do it on Thursday? Church is on Wednesday.
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, Thursday's great. We'll do it.
I'm good with that.
I respect that.
So if the air conditioner not working, can you have fix that in?
We have to.
Well, the air conditioner's working over there, and I apologize for the air conditioner here. We had a heater problem, and they got a motor replaced over there, so the air conditioner's out. So
Just trying to save us some money.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion in a second to table.
What time?
Thursday. Let's do it on time.
7.
Yeah. Would you please call it?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hippock.
Yes.
And that's Thursday night, correct? Thursday
To
at 7.
clarify that will be next Thursday night at 7 p.m.
What's the location again?
courtroom C, which is the law enforcement courtroom. I think it would be good for us to all go into that, one of our courtrooms, and see firsthand what we're up against with Lisa Wood. So we'll have a call meeting then. The next item, consider approving resolution for the Parks Authority. My thoughts on this are it probably is a little broader than we really need to take care of what we need to take care of J.C. Land. So, given that, I'm gonna make a motion, we do not approve the Parks Authority resolution as written. I'll get with the county attorney, see if we can modify that and restrain it more to its need we want.
I'm sorry, what are you looking for, Mr. Leonard? You said you brought, so what are you after?
I want something more confined that deals with J.C. Landing and the commerce of J.C. Landing, the runner of J.C. Landing, not reaching out into any of the other county parks.
So what about like Grace, a similar facility wants to put more natural? Are you trying to do basically separate recreation from it?
Yes. I don't personally, I don't have a problem with it including Lake Grace. I don't have a problem with it including recreation. I just don't want it to encompass recreation. So we can discuss that at next week's meeting, or we can.
How hard is that fixing?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could address the board for a second.
Yes, sir.
I know at the last meeting that was
I won't say it was an afterthought, but it wasn't, the main topic that was on the agenda was obviously the Public Works Authority. So since that time, I've had an opportunity to kind of research and delve into it a little bit more. What I was able to find out, exactly kind of what we thought about. There's not a specific authority set up, to enter into a contract. It's not a blueprint across the state for that, okay? I've talked to ACCG, I've done some research on my own. They had two options. And a no, I guess the from y'all the last time was, draw up a resolution to create an authority, and that's what we did. So the two options the ACCG kind of presented, one was creating a rec board. Everything's under the umbrella of rec, because when you start talking about landings and, over there on St. Simon's, they have beachfronts, and over actually in Jeff Davis, they have a pool area. Everything's under the umbrella of rec. So they suggested creating a rec board. I know here that we created a rec board in the past, and there was some issues with
You talking about board authority?
I'm talking about board. One thing was create a board. And I know that we had created a rec board here before, and there were some issues with authority, and they thinking they had the power to hire and fire people. I know we had some issues with that. ACCG's take on a rec board was that you could probably enter into the type of contracts that we had talked about wanting to enter into. Legally, it hadn't been challenged. The safest way was to create an authority. The only guiding light that they could give me is just what I sent y'all. Now, I think there might be one or two more across the state.
And you're referring like you want to build similar complex to what Springfield, I believe it is. It'd be a big cost of money. Are you talking about doing projects like that?
No, I'm simply talking about from the standpoint of this board can't bind itself more than 12 months. And so the last time the discussion was, if we want to put somebody out there to manage J.C. Landon, and they want a multi-year contract, how do we accomplish that? This board in amongst itself cannot do that. You do not have the authority to enter into more than a 12-month contract.
I think we're agreeing on what we're saying with that.
Right.
I understand why we're not wanting the rec part of it. Do you have a reason for that? Or?
I think that was a conversation y'all had tonight.
Just trying to understand.
Yeah, that, from my standpoint, is because SPOS monies and things pay for things out of the rec department. This is called the rec department, or Morris Park, and other places. This would keep grant monies separate and expendable than from SPOS monies.
So can't they get grant money for recreation for ball fields as well?
They can, but my point is to keep them separate. So let's say have a leisure services authority that took care of the landings, Lake Grace, things like that. But
I'm not
the rec
positive, I was trying to
department's
understand what
thing,
you're saying.
I would like to keep them, the rec, Bill Morris Park, anything that maybe take place in Odom for rec or anything in Scribble for rec, keep that as a separate entity that answers to the administrator through a rec director. The other things like the landings and any enhancements there would be handled under this separate leisure services authority.
Yeah, and I'm not too keen on the name because it's very confusing when you say recreation authority there. It makes it sound like it encompasses everything. I did it broad from the standpoint that you're going to create this authority. What do you want? And we didn't have that discussion. It's something that's going to have to be fleshed out between the five of y'all. Do you want the ability to, in the future, put a Lake Grace underneath there, or a Bill Morris Park? That's just something y'all, because once we get it passed through local legislation, it's there, and it's hard to amend.
What's it called? Parks, Recreation, Leisure Services. So you're saying that the river would fall under leisure. I don't know if that don't fall under park.
Well, it would fall under recreation. Again, it's all under this concept of recreation for the county. So a lot of your counties did it very broad to be able to fit their recreation departments under, but also, and I think I sent y'all the two
You just
from,
sound separate clause.
I sent you two that have been credited. One was from
And
Brooks.
that authority has the authority to take care of things that J.C. Landon, in like contracts and stuff
Well,
like that.
I'm on the same page. I'm about to do a private public comment. That's
And that authority would have the authority to do that.
Yeah, now let me kind of just add this point of emphasis, and y'all may realize this already, but, say you set up this authority, you're going to essentially have to transfer that land at J.C. Landon out there into this authority's name. That's out of your, at that point, it's out of your control. You don't like what's going up there, it don't matter. It's that authority's decision to make.
It's no different than hospital.
Similar to that, I just want to make sure y'all are clear on that concept. You don't like what's happening out there, That's out of the commissioner's.
But
Same way we got
they
that.
can't bind us to any money or any upgrades that they make out there without coming before the
Well,
commission.
it's similar to the Public Facilities Authority in that regard,
Right.
like they couldn't go out and get funding or anything without, you know, obviously the county commission is the financing source for the county. So anything like that, they would have to come through the commission to get approval for. But
Use
say
your
they enter
assets.
into a contract with a lease with somebody that you didn't want out there, there's nothing you could do to interfere with that.
It's just like
We,
the
we
idea.
can't do like what Herschel was saying, have a more simplified resolution,
I-
to where the main thing we want is just so that the concessionaire can have a longer than 12 month, I mean, that's basically, isn't that?
I know it's a little more, but I'm looking at.
It's a little bit more, long-term, a little bit more involved. And that's one reason I want us to table this as well, because in doing this, I feel like we owe the J.C.'s that are still around their respect of saying, we would like to enter into this agreement so that we can enhance J.C. Landon, but we don't want to do it without respect to the J.C.'s. And I think that's what we like to do, and this is what we want to do. Now, if we need to have more discussions for the resolution content prior to a meeting next Wednesday night, you know, then we'll schedule a little earlier work session like we did tonight if you want to.
So, just so everybody's clear, with that authority, it's kind of you're still kind of under the same timeline. Has to be created by local legislation. If we don't get it up there before crossover day, it may not get passed this
The
year.
difference between the two to me is most of the money they're gonna use is gonna be grants or donations. The most we'll probably throw in most times is in kind. Where the courthouse facility, you're talking about, we're going to huge debt and there is not grants for it, it's all us,
I agree.
all the county. That's the
But
big difference.
getting what, to reiterate what Andy's saying on the authority creation and getting this up to the legislation for the,
It's time to-
I'm gonna keep.
I can
calling
do it
it
however y'all
services
want to,
because I'm
I
gonna
just need to
separate
know
it from
how.
the rec department.
y'all
I
want.
got you.
I think we have, by meeting next Thursday, we have the time to get the resolution like we want it, like we all want it, and move it forward to the legislators to get passed through, to get it back to us to appoint that authority. So there's several things we want to decide. One is how many members will that authority have? What will their authority be? What can they do? And what parts of our, what's currently under regulation, which we'll call, whatever you call it, what parts of that will they control?
Under that, you said we had to transfer the, like, you're talking about transferring property. Would they have the ability on that thing, same thing, to sell property? Sell
Yes,
income?
Yeah.
yes, it's in that
They
contract.
could sell J.C. Land.
That's an authority. It's a separate entity. Once you put them over it, that's in their powers to do it.
That's why I was saying if we could condense it down a little bit so that I mean, I think that's the main thing we want it for, but when we give them that much power and they could sell J.C. Land, and I think everybody.
Mr. Beaver, but I don't think that they can sell
That's
the
fine.
land.
Can we have contingency?
You
in the
can't
deed?
sell the land.
Well, you can't sell the land, in, but
Right.
you can sell the land
The
surrounding
hospital
anything.
can't
Right.
sell the hospital without coming to the board.
That's
In,
what I
in
was-
the legislation that he gave us says can sell property.
Well, they wouldn't be able to sell the land, but y'all, I think y'all kind of understand the picture, that they can sell the land surrounding that, if that's what y'all gave them, that whole area out there.
I
which
want
is
to build an
right
interim
back.
contract to build, to enhance economically, and
Well-
not just a bait shop, but with, up on top of that center with possibly restaurants, with kayak centers, and I want to see them be able to do that, but not sell off the.
But you're not talking about taxpayers, you're
Right.
talking about concessionaires, and that's why I'm saying if we condensed it down to just the lease, they can do stuff like that, but if
So
we.
that brings me to this, can we spend this next week between us getting the information from Mr. Beaver on what we really want in this authority for that, and let him have the resolution ready for next Thursday night?
I mean, I can try to articulate it however y'all want to, I just need to know how y'all want it.
All right. So you're okay with it, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, then I want to make a motion, we table the Parks Authority resolution until we modify it, and we will readdress it on next Thursday night, a week from tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, can I interject here? and say
I have a motion,
Second.
Let's get that behind us.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes. Mr. Jefferson?
Next Thursday meeting, can we have it a little bit earlier than the 7 o'clock and do it that way? Is that amenable to y'all?
Yeah.
I think that, 5 o'clock or Mr. Hickox, so you've got it
It's on at
scheduled.
6, I know, more than 6 o'clock, will that work?
I'm just saying, yes, it just, instead of 7 o'clock.
I'm good with any time.
All right.
You got
Let's
an
set-
issue?
Let's set for 5 o'clock next Thursday.
Do 6.
Okay.
I got.
All right. And we just had a 5-0 vote.
Well, we voted it.
Yeah, we did. We'll change the time to 6 o'clock.
We're not gonna have a work session, we're just gonna have the meeting, and we're gonna try to discuss everything before then.
We'll still have, we'll have a small work session before.
What did we negotiate to?
5:30?
Oh, it's at 6.
I thought it was
All right, what about this? Work session at 5:30, meeting at 6.
We're all talking about it.
Okay, I'll be here about
All right, 5:30. 5:30 it is, work session, regular meeting at 6.
All right, 5:30 work session, regular meeting at 6.
Welcome to county government.
We need to re-vote on that.
No, sir.
Thank you.
it. Still about
Mr. Chairman, point of order, a little oversight, we're trying to get to this meeting, but number 5, we need to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Stand corrected. I appreciate it. Approval of the minutes. I trust y'all all had a chance to look at the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I so move we approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Have a motion, and a second, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
Okay, moving back down in order now, we have no presentations and announcements of citizens' concerns on the agenda of public meetings, we have none, consent agenda none. Now, that takes us down to discuss, consider, approve the elected county by chairman. And I will start out with that one, that, based on the fact that we've had this enabling act in place since the 60s, I believe, where it was passed that the 5 commissioners will be elected from the 5 districts. It's worked like that for quite some time, and I have not been able to dig into the Enabling Act to see how it will change it and change our form of government if we go forward with a countywide elected chairman. So,
I don't think we've ever had anybody serve 4 terms either, consecutively.
that's true, and in a year and a half, when somebody else qualifies for this seat and it goes back normal, probably won't have that concern again.
So we're gonna go another 2 more years with the same thing?
I'm simply saying I'm not in favor of changing the Enabling Act at this time. I don't know enough about it.
I don't think we have the authority to do it. First, I don't think we have the authority to do it anyway. We'd have to, either, I would think, you have to either send a resolution asking to change it, or Mike can do that by referendum.
You, go ahead.
See if folk want it.
Yeah, you're right. You don't have the authority within amongst
Correct.
yourselves to change it. It would have to come more than likely through the state.
I
And
don't
there-
know, we're gonna referendum next election, let people decide.
Well, we have actually time to do that by not deciding it tonight, because
You can't sign up anyway.
There is there's another round of elections. Well, there's another legislative meeting next year prior to the next election, so.
I'm okay with, you know, I'm okay with not sending a resolution up. I'm okay with letting the public decide in the next election. Let them decide what they want.
Mr. Chairman, well, I'm reading the code right here, the state that we have in order, and it's on the chairman. He said, first regular meeting after approval of this act, this was 1962, been in effect ever since. And at the first regular meeting of each year thereafter, the Board of Commissioners shall, by majority vote, elect one of its number as chairman. The chairman shall serve at the pleasure of the majority of the members of the board and may be removed at any time by the majority vote without notice, cause, or hearing. It shall be the duty of the chairman to act as presiding officer at all meetings of the Board of Commissioners, and he shall recognize as the herein provide, ceremonial head of the county government, but shall have no other administrative duties except as therein provided, or such as may be delegated to him by the Board of Commissioners. In other words, you don't have any more power than we do.
That's not true at all. He alone can put, he can gavel you down.
No.
You have to have a supermajority.
He control the meeting, that's what, let me finish.
He can
right?
put something on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
All right. In the event of absence, qualified or disabled of the chair, the members of the board shall appoint a designee, some member of his body, to act as temporary chairman. It shall be the duty of the chairman to preserve order, decorum at all meetings of the board, to state every question coming before the board, announce the decisions of the board on all subjects, and decide all questions of order, subject, however, to an approval of the board, in which event a majority vote of the board shall govern said. Conclusions determine such questions of order. The chairman shall have the right to vote on all matters coming before the board, and shall have the right to move for an adoption or a resolution or other matters coming before the board. And this is a rule here, procedure. It shall be the duty of the Board of Commissioners to adopt the rules and orders and bylaws by which all meetings shall be conducted. Said rules of order and bylaws to be spreaded upon the minutes and the board. In other words, yeah, he has the opportunity to set the meetings, to set the agenda, whatever. But other than that, he doesn't have any authority to do anything unless we get permission.
It very much directs the direction of the board with that, what you just said. I think the problem there is that he serves at the pleasure of the board, and I think that what we're saying is the chairman, kind of like chairman, to serve at the pleasure of the council. There's a little bit of difference there.
That's not what this is saying.
That was, I know, that was written in 1960.
I'm saying it's not always like this.
That's in that, I hear you. I'm saying like the people's side of that.
I'm saying it's not like this.
And again.
Well, and one question I would have is, if they can't do anything and they don't have any control, and I'll give y'all time to answer it, why would you vote against me being chairman?
That's a good question.
I'm
If
glad
you
you
don't
asked
have
that.
any more control,
I'm glad you asked that question,
Okay.
Commissioner, because I've been trying to take the high road ever since I've been here. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but you two, Ralph first came on the board. He likes to micromanage everything, and he micromanaged the administrator was here.
They put micromanage a little more.
Sit in the office of the administrator and hire the director and assistant director. We don't have anything to do with personnel, but he did that. You came on board 6 months after you came on board. You accused me, along with Ed, of mismanaging money. You said I was complicit. I've been down these years and nothing happened. He called in ACCG. They came in and looked through our books and everything and didn't find anything. You called in GBI. They came and looked at our books and looked at us, and nothing was found. So I'm gonna be in favor of a person who I can trust. Okay?
but they may have proven that, but the auditors that we hired
The
to look at our
auditors-
books
the auditors
told
did-
us that I was correct.
The auditors did not say that. The auditors said he did not move
Of
any money.
course they
from the-
did.
No, he didn't.
We had a sheet of paper
I
that
tell you what.
showed where money was shifted.
Everybody should listen to, I think it's public record now, the GBI tape. Is it public record now?
Yes, it's public, it's open record.
Yeah, the normal protocol that after investigation is completed,
Yeah.
it's subject to open record.
Everybody should listen to that CD.
And go back and look at minutes for the auditors that audit our records every
And if you
year.
listen to that CD, when you hear him interviewing Mr. McCurry and his wife, you think she was commissioned, she did all the talking.
All right, gentlemen, we've got all subjects, so I'm gonna make a motion that we do not approve.
You better wait
right
till,
now.
till your third one comes back and you won't have a tie vote there.
He left. He left.
You fix to be a
My
tie vote
motion
back
was,
then.
my motion was, and it would be to table the elect by chairman until another meeting. That way, they'll get it down, and put it up, and we'll table it. Still going back. All right, the next item on the agenda,
Wait,
Well,
you're making
yeah,
the
make a
motion to
motion,
table it?
yeah.
All right, so then I need a second.
Got a motion and a second, any more discussion?
Who seconded
That'd
it?
Madam Clerk, call the roll. Table.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hires?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary?
Yes.
And Commissioner Robinson?
The next item on the agenda is to consider and approve the service delivery strategy.
Mr. Chairman, you know, I would take, because of the COVID issue with the office last week and a lot of things, that I didn't include it in your packet here, so what I'd like to do is include it where y'all can go through the next week. We tentatively have an agreement with the cities to go forward with this thing. I just want to give it a chance to go sit there and review it. Y'all please are up there. The thing up there, we have an agreement with animal control, and we have agreement with, we'll do the maintenance on the fire vehicles, and
But you'll have all the
nothing else really
details.
changes.
If we table this, you'll have all the details next week.
I will
right?
have it in your packet.
Will we be assured by then that the mayors of Scriven and Odom and their councils are in agreement with it, as well as the city of Jessup?
I
don't know if the city
can't
of Jessup
guarantee
approved it.
that, but, you know, I had insurance from all of them that everybody was good with it, as to, with animal control, with fire, that was a big contention up there, and the mayor Scriven and Jessup wanted us to continue to do the maintenance, not parts, not service, outside the county, but we would do service in all fire pits, and we agreed to do that. So, and I just put it in the packet so you can read it, you know, that's the only thing that I'll do there, and we'll just have it on the agenda for next Thursday night, if you don't mind, so.
And when are we gonna get that?
And you'll get that in the booklets, if we want, we'll put that in the booklets, I'll send that out to you tomorrow. Yeah, no, we'll send that out to you tomorrow.
Chairman, what y'all just heard.
We'll send, if the email's good with you, we'll send it through the email.
Actually, and I've got the copies in there.
We'll send it out in email.
What y'all just heard a minute ago is exactly why I'm not for putting a 25-year note for $25 to $30 million in a 3-2 decision at this point.
Okay, point well taken. I'll make a motion that we table the service delivery strategy agreement until our meeting on Thursday, next Thursday night.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any more discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Hires?
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Item E, consider approving sale of property on Forest Drive, lot 100B-13-2.
Commissioners, in your, if I may, Mr. Chairman, it's in your under item C over there, that I've had several interests there of parties, and this is nothing, this is something we got back in tax sale. We fixed the mapping issues on on Q Public, but we have some interested parties, and it's just an opportunity to sell a piece of property, people interested in doing this on Forest Drive behind the hospital. I asked that Byron give me, the assessor's office, give an estimate of what the fair market value is, and he came back, and through due diligence over there, they gave an estimate of $12,000. I'm requesting of y'all that we have set a minimum bid of $12,000, and we put this out for bid.
Is that a vacant lot?
And it's kind of in a, there's 3 or 4 adjacent lots, and they're all sold for about comparable, and this one's a little, may be a little more swampier than the other lots up there, so he gave me a fair market value of $12,000.
Mr. Jeffers, can I just
Yes,
put in
sir.
here just for a second? it may have gone through a tax sale. I need to check and make sure that we foreclosed the right to redeem to get in a posture that we can sell it. I think that it has, I'm going off of memory.
I think.
That would be the only thing that would prevent it from going.
So this is county-owned property?
This is one that somebody has failed to pay taxes on and the county's foreclosed on it. And presumably that it's been on the books for 12 months and we foreclosed the right to redeem and we're in a posture that we can sell.
And how much do we have in it?
Oh, yeah, got it. I
Um,
don't know how much tax you wrote.
You know, the tax assessed value is $31,000. I don't know when that assessment was done, how accurate that number is.
1974.
Might be way off then. But I will tell you that probably more than likely you got a lot less than $12,000 into it, probably 1,000 or 1,200 or so with the foreclosure process, just guessing. Don't hold me to that number, but probably significantly less than $12,000.
And they have it at 3,100, I'm at $31,640.
I'm just getting that number off of QPub. I'm looking at the same printout you are.
Right.
That's where I pulled that for, so I don't know that for sure.
And to Andy's point up there, the information I have is we've got the right of redemption and then
I think that it has, I just need to check on that.
verify that based on that, if verification up there, we're able to sell that, and then I'm.
So you got comps at 12,000, what you were saying? Sold?
Mr. Johns gave me comps at $12,000 up there, and that's what similar lots right next to it recently have sold for, or close to that number. It ain't the $31,000, okay?
I'm just going off what QPub over there.
Right.
So you want to set up basically a minimum reserve of 12,000?
I think a little less than that, so you get people bidding against each other, because if you put it right at the max, then I don't know they would.
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, if you want to set up 10,000, I'm good with that.
I was thinking 10 or 11, that way you might get more interest from the ones around, because it's the same thing as the biggest one for you know.
Would you make
Go
that
on, so-
informed motion?
Yeah, I'd say, I make a motion that we put the minimum at $11,000. That's 1,000 less than what comps are, so you may get people bidding.
Being where we're at in the month, let me check on it. We probably won't actually unseal these bids. It'll be probably April meeting,
Yeah.
best case scenario.
That's right.
Just FYI.
All right, I'll second. Commissioner Hickox, motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
That's 11,000.
All right.
I hope it goes over 12.
Yes.
Under appointments, this is something we've tabled numerous times, and I want to say something before we get into the motion being made. That is, I want to commend the Development Authority, Industrial Development Authority for the work they've done in maintaining current jobs we have in the county. Our industry, many of our industry leaders are enlarging their facilities, which means as much as bringing in new facilities, if not more. And given that, I want to suggest that we maintain the continuity of the board members we have on there, those that have the level each stay. It seems to be a really good group working together. So, given that, I'm gonna make a motion. I will nominate that Mr. Randy Franks continue to serve in the at-large capacity he's serving in.
I'll give a second on that.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes. Moving into item B with the Development Authority at large, Randy Teston is currently serving, and his term expired 12/1/2020. I've spoken with Mr. Teston, and he has served on this board
Long time.
unselfishly for I think at least 3 terms now. And he wants some time to spend with his grandchildren, and I certainly understand that. Given that, I would like to offer up the name of Sean O'Quinn, nominated to serve on that at-large position.
Sounds a good guy.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
On item C, on the Constitutional Authority, currently Kent Fountain was serving until 12/1/2020 when his term ended. And in order, again, to keep continuity, what I would like to do is nominate Brian Griffiths, who serves on the statutory authority,
That's the mayor position.
mayor position. Yeah, I'd like to nominate him to move on to the Constitution.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
And item D, Commissioner Curry, I'll defer to you of that appointment, the District 2 appointment, so.
So we're gonna use the mirrored ones, so that would be Tommy Reddish.
That will be our suggestion to maintain continuity.
One thing I would have a question on is, are we gonna notify them that they have a 4 and a 6-year term that they are both covering? And at any time after the 4 years, if they decide to come off, they can come off after 4 years or the 6th year, or continue to serve on that board. That's one thing I didn't like about this, is because these two, Kent Fountain and Mike Burks, were taken off, and their terms obviously were not even up. So I don't know if you need to do that or if we need to do that, but I just want to make it clear because this is so confusing to everybody.
Has it ever been?
I send them a letter when y'all appoint. Any appointment, I send a letter, so that's something I could add in there, that they are appointed on the industrial authority for this, your term ends this, and you're on the development authority and your term ends here.
Yeah, we're gonna develop a system, this not gonna happen again.
Yeah, more of a upfront notification system that Dale and I have talked about it, and Ms. Lindsay and I talked about it. We'll come up with something to keep this from happening for the next.
So if they come off one, they come off both.
So do I need to nominate him or
Nominate.
Tommy Reddish? I'll make a motion to nominate Tommy Reddish on the
Constitution.
Constitutional Board for the IDA, or is it going
Industrial
to?
Development. Wayne County Industrial Development
Okay.
Authority Constitution.
Only I'll say is in the future, probably we should at least talk to somebody to take off. If they have an extended term, like this case, it probably would have kept it from happening had those two guys got placed if somebody called them first and told them they were doing that.
And I probably need to reach out to him because we were still up in the air about discussing this. I probably need to reach out to him and make sure, unless you know, Dale, if he still wants to serve, so I can at least ask him and make sure. Do you know?
Yeah, he has showed an interest to serve,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And been doing a good job.
In other words, he won't decline your nomination.
My motion stands then.
All right, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, items from the county administrator?
Mr. Chairman, I've seen on there that I had a discussion with the district attorney's office, and they're trying to beef up some security aspects of it, to do something with GBI system or something. I'm not very familiar with it. But the bulletproof glass at the entrance of there, that plexiglass right now is not adequate in their terms, and they asked if we do that. It's a part of the infrastructure of the building which the county owns. And also the back door, they want to beat that up a little bit more over there. So what I requested is, and again, we give the district attorney a set amount of money every month. You know, and so what I'd ask over there is that we add $3,000 to that to cover those expenses for the bulletproof glass, the safety glasses on the entrance right there for safety standpoint, and to modify the door, beef it up in the back over there so it can be secure. And there's some other incidental things I have to do that we've identified in that building to take care of. We didn't have any money identified in that. And also, we talked about cleaning services, and I just, you know, we got an estimate for cleaning, you know, once a week, and I just put that in there. So I'm asking us y'all to add another $3,600 or $6,600, excuse me, to the budget for the district attorney, and we'll take that out of contingency, and you'll see the resolution, I think it's in the.
I appreciate this is the first time we've had a amended,
And I'll-
amended the budget since I've been here in the middle of the year. I appreciate it, I do, I'm a little confused why you do this whenever, that's well within your, even the purchase orders, that's within the number you got anyway. I mean, I appreciate
Well,
you doing it.
you know, Commissioner, I've been, you know, I'm not gonna debate it, but I've been trying to be, you know, straightforward with everybody, and, you know, this one right here, I know that I'm gonna go over on that department. I mean, there ain't no question about it. I give a set amount of money.
This is all we've asked for, I appreciate
and,
that.
You know, and so this is what I want to do, and I'm asking for another for $600.
I'll make the motion, but I'm surprised about it, I'm happy with that.
Thank you, sir.
Motion is second, any discussion?
Who's second, I'm sorry.
I did.
Kevin, okay.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
The other item I have, Mr. Chairman, if I may, is we've been talking about accepting some bad roads throughout the county. And let's make sure Mr. Roberts gets his. Okay. So what I've asked is a change to get our road engineer, our county engineer, and our building inspector together and look at our subdivision ordinance. I'm not asking for a vote right now, and I am not asking for a vote next Thursday night, but it'll be on the agenda for March 1st.
Is it listed here, or you make your motion list?
So you have a cover sheet here. The first sheet is just an explanation of what needs to change for us to accept, like Best Look down at Southwest.
That's the main.
You know, and other things. So there was some concerns about this will be a open door kind of thing. There may be other county roads that we need to accept, and this is just, they went through there without me going through every line item. It'll be in advance. I'll have Bill and Schuman and Elton Aspinwall and Chris Griffiths here on that meeting to have any questions for y'all. It will be in the packet again. This is just information for y'all, and this is what I got. This is to resolve that issue of bad roads.
What is the red lettering?
So the first page is a summary of what's changed. The red letters is actually what changed.
Okay.
Yeah, and the red letters is actually the change to the subdivision ordinance, and they're identified right here on this first page. A little overkill on information, but it's trying to, if you read that first page, you'll see what they're after.
It's like an index.
That's right.
Okay.
So in other words, once we pass this or whatever we do with this,
We'll be
this
able
is-
to accept Best Look. Is that-
but this is gonna also upgrade future roads of subdivisions that are just starting out. That's what I don't know if anybody in here knows about it, but Best Loop is a road, I think it's in Mike's district, but somebody called me about it. And at the current ordinance or whatever we have, after the county does not take over that road until they have sold 50% of the lots. So if that development goes on for 15 or 20 or 30 years, there's nothing, and I don't know if you have something in here binding them, holding them liable for it. So if they go bankrupt in that development, then there's nobody to hold accountable for keeping the roads up.
So that point of there, let me just, I'll cut to that issue. So no longer will this subdivision ordinance have a 50% clause. You approve the subdivision when they come up new subdivisions. You know, and so from that standpoint, we're asking for a bond by the contractor, so if they go belly up, then we accept it. We're also inspecting and change the specifications for roads to be built. And they will be inspected, just like you inspect a house being built. There's phases that you, along that you have to inspect. They do the same thing. Bill or Elton will do the same thing along this process. If we accept it, then we accept it. At the end of the project, if he's completed up there, we accept the road. If there's a problem with it, he goes belly up over there, the bonding should help allow us to take over the road and fix anything that may need to be fixed.
Is Cottonwood Extension on there?
Sir?
Cottonwood Extension from Chapman. It's not-
I can't hear you,
it's-
sir.
It's in your district. I'm sorry, Cottonwood Extension. That's over there off Chapman Plantation.
And I would say that.
They're pretty beat up.
What I asked them to do is this, you know, we know that there's a number of roads that may fall in that category. And that, you know, we know that we're probably gonna have to accept them. I mean, if you've been down to Bestwood, and Mike, I've gone down there with Mr. Roberts several times and others and looked at it. It is needs, I mean, it's bad. And so they're left with nothing of their, the county's gonna eventually have to take it over. So what do we need to change in our ordinance so that we don't get back to that problem again? Now, I don't know whether other roads, which other roads.
You've been
might
down
be-
Chapman Plantation, the ones down there heading
And
toward
it may be, Commissioner, and, you know, we just have to look at it one at a time, and y'all have to approve to take that on.
This gives us some leeway, not to violate our own orders, but go back and
That's right.
modify this, but that lets us accept some of these. So
We'll accept some that are already like that, but the new ones have to be done.
Right, the ones that, the existing was already done, guys.
Right.
It is what it is.
All right, we'll address that on the agenda then, the March meeting.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And do
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Hickox, or Lucas?
I'm good.
I just would, Commissioner.
I think I said all I had to say was earlier, but I just think that, I know you wanna work on this. I wanna see the judicial complex done. I think I don't wanna rush it, because first of all, we're not gonna pay for it. Unless we're gonna get money out of pocket, we're not gonna pay for it with a SPOS until 23. So I'm based on what Luke was saying himself, I don't think it's a good idea to make it where it comes down to a 3-2 vote again, of that board and our board to fund that.
I think that's probably something, we may come up with something between now and the next Thursday meeting to actually prevent that from happening. We'll talk
I would
about
go
this.
along, if you can address it, don't happen under this watch, then I would go along with that.
We'll see if we can address that from there. All right, thank you. All right. I want to thank you for your patience with this meeting. Thank you for your attendance. Again, I want to commend the Industrial Development Authority for the work they've done, and I hope within the next few weeks or months or something, some light can be shed on some things that are happening in positive note in the county, and I trust the supervisor will share some of that. I'm really proud of y'all. And thank you for coming, Sheriff. I hope you're getting on board and things are heading in the direction like you like them.
Everybody's looking out for me, bless their heart.
All right. Your Honor, thank you for coming, Ms. Lindsay, thank you for coming, and Mr. Beaver, thank you for your presentation, it's been most helpful. And with that, Commissioner Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner,
Well, I'm thankful for you guys. I like the way the county's headed. We're doing good. We need to continue. Stay focused. I think about a judicial complex. We need to ask ourselves a question and answer that question. We need to do a lot of work on securing our courthouses. They're not secure. Now, if a judge come down and tell us we have to secure our courthouses, which they will do, and which is already enacted, how much is it going to cost? If they tell us that we got to secure the courthouses and everywhere we need, it's going to cost $1 million, whatever the case may be, how are we going to pay for it? If we have some kind of mechanism in place as a toolbox to do that, without having to take money out of our pocket right away, then that's the question we should ask and answer when it comes to this board. So, not saying that we're going to go out and borrow $30 million, but it will be an alternative or an aid that we could use. So that's my perspective on it. So.
Chairman, may I add something? If we had to hire, if we had to give our sheriff another deputy, put him on each one of those doors, that's the worst case scenario to secure it. What's 4 deputies cost? It's not costing $1 million. What would the deputy cost?
Wait, here's a
We're talking temporary, not permanent.
So, in my address to you earlier, the Council of Superior Court Judges, the Sheriff's Association, and the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia has produced a guideline the minimum of which you should go by in order for us, for everybody that uses the courthouse, not just the judges, but the people that just come in. This is what you should do in order for it to be secure. And that's what I would say that you should go by. And I can get copies of that and submit it to all of y'all so that you can see. I'm sure the sheriff has it and has read it. There are things that should already have been done that have not been done. And so if we're gonna, if our goal is, okay, we can't do a new facility right now, we want to secure what we do have, let's go by what the experts tell us we have to do. Because if we fail to do that, and there is an unfortunate situation, Mr. Bieber, is the county not on the hook for that?
I would think so, Judge.
So we know we have a problem.
Yes.
We know we have the guidelines to fix it. We go by those. We go by what the experts tell us we have to have. And
It's an embarrassing condition. I mean, you showed it us in shop.
Well, I'm gonna throw something personal in there that may kind of drive this point home that Your Honor's trying to make. A few years ago, we had a gentleman that was a former resident of our correctional institute state that got out and decided to take out some vendettas on local people. And it resulted in the death of our former district attorney. And could have resulted in the death of another county judicial representative had things not happened like they did. From a personal note, what scares me and makes me shudder every time I think about something like that happening is both of my grandchildren are in that school right by that courthouse. And what took place with Mr. Glenn Thomas could have so easily changed in the form of that guy going through that playground while kids were in it. We do have to do something. Every time we have a criminal justice meeting, every time I'm in that courthouse and I look down there and see those grandkids playing, I think, what would happen? Not just to my grandkids, but many other children. If we had a trial going on and something went wrong in the courtroom, heaven forbid, a deputy were overpowered or something, and whoever was doing it decided to go right outside and take some hostages, y'all, I would live with myself.
I don't have consensus on this.
I think so. And I think that we do need to go by the guidelines that Your Honor referred to, and move forward with doing something with it.
I do. I will get y'all copies of those.
Okay, thank you again.
Shall I just bring them over here and have them put in your box?
Yeah, or just tell.
Or email.
Either mail it or something, or you can email it.
All right.
Okay,
Lock chain on the back door, that's all me.
all right.
Marshall, I got one.
Having, oh yes, ma'am, Madam Clerk has an item she wants to share as a presentation.
I just got a thank you note. During a time like this, we realize how much our friends mean to us. Your kind expression of sympathy will always be remembered by the family of Roseanne Haddon. Thank you for the beautiful basket of flowers. I appreciate you all for thinking of me during this difficult time of losing my best friend, my mom. I would also like to thank the ones of you who text and called to see how I was doing during this difficult time. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay,
Executive session.
Oh, crap.
Executive session.
I think I may have been this oversight. I don't have any.
it was
Can I
you,
say something real quick?
ma'am.
Can I just make a comment real quick? I've been, sitting here listening to all this, taking it all in. Me and my husband moved here approximately 11 years ago. And when we moved here, we were able to buy our first home ever. Very proud moment for us. Since you all did the last tax hike, where you raised our taxes, it's getting to the point now, not just me, but other people that are in the same boat I am, to where it's getting harder and harder to make your house payment every month. You can refinance all you want with the lower interest rates, and it may lower your house payment. But when your taxes keep going up, what good are you doing? I mean, the middle class is getting hit hard. You have landlords that are raising rent now because they're going to have to raise rent. They had to raise it already to pay the last tax hike. people can't afford the rent. What can we do to try and get something done? I'm not a simple person. I understand taxes. You have to have taxes to get by, to get things done. I get that. And I understand that we need to do something with the courthouse so it's safe. I get that. I do not have any problem with that. But I do agree with Mr. Hickok and Mr. McCrary. This is not the time to go and try to spend $25, $30 million when we don't know what's coming around the corner. You've got small businesses that are closing. They're struggling to keep their doors open.
Ma'am, I appreciate your concerns, and I fully understand and agree with them, because I also pay taxes in this county. We must start the process to move forward for the future on securing the courthouse and making sure that what I just shared doesn't happen.
Securing
Now,
the courthouse, I understand.
We did raise the millage rate, but we have come down on that millage rate, which should bring your taxes down, and we expect to continue to be able to come down on that millage rate as the county can afford it.
But from what I'm hearing, if we go through with this new whole judicial complex, from hearing how we don't have money,
And
you're gonna
that's the
fund it through
reason-
taxpayers.
And the reason for
Which
this
means
meeting,
my property
the reason for
taxes.
this meeting is to develop a strategy to pay for that courthouse complex without going to the property owners to do it. In other words, attempt to do it through a special local option sales tax that is already in place, that will end paying for what it's paying for now, and hopefully roll over to paying for that judicial complex and
So-
not raise taxes.
But you cannot promise us
Well, that's one reason we have it voted
that
on tonight.
in the next 2 years or the next year, you're gonna jack our millage rate up again higher than what it's already at.
We don't intend to. I can't tell you what's in the future, but we don't intend to. We
Because-
certainly don't intend to do it to pay for a judicial complex.
Wayne County, it will be a ghost town if it doesn't stop.
And I appreciate your concern. If we have no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Now, I have one more thing to say.
All right.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
I understand maybe you and Mr. Hickok don't see eye to eye, and that's fine, people don't see eye to eye. But some of the comments you made to him were childish. There were adults here.
Thank you very much. We'll work that out, okay?
District attorney for $2 million came up with $3,600 increase.
See you later.
I'm sorry.
Not the temperature, right?